Hello, ladies and gentlemen, friends, brothers and sisters from around the world. This is Rob Potter at the Promise Revealed, a real contactee of the Pleiadians and the Venusians since the age of 17, with a pedigree of a lifetime of physical face-to-face contact. I'm here to share with you some very positive information and news. And despite all the chaos and confusion in the world, which has never been at this level of deception and confusion for, I would say, 100,000 years, although it has reached very high levels of proportions and levels of destruction. There is a divine and a sacred and a holy plan for this planet and for each and every soul on this planet. To realize the reality of the duality and the third dimension from which we exist in this entropic universe, there is both light and dark. Therefore, mankind has a choice to choose, and mankind is actually, just like the Bhagavad Gita plays out in the allegorical tale, a battleground. And this battleground has extended to the surface of the earth, and it's also an ongoing battle between the beastly nature of mankind and his divine nature. And the missing link of the divine nature was influenced by extraterrestrials long in our past, and mankind's evolution was exceeded or accelerated. And throughout the history of mankind's life on earth, he has been, let's just say, interfered with and had his evolution augmented by contacts throughout a very long history, which I will not go into right here. But I will say Atlantis was real, Lemuria was real. And unfortunately, as on many worlds in the third dimension, they end up destroying themselves when they uncover the power of the atom, as their beastly nature and desire for control, power, competition, greed, judgment of others, and control of others reaches its height, and people literally want to kill someone else because they think or feel differently. Diversity is a good thing. And that's what made America great, was all the people of the world were under oppression from all of the power control elites, royalty of the world, of which today there is none. These are parasites on humanity who think themselves above and beyond God's natural law. And though they may promote it, they may announce it, and they may have a lot of people believing it, it's not true, ladies and gentlemen. The power of God within you, your own mighty I am individual life force presence, is the ruling force of you and your reality. And collectively, we make a collective reality. If everyone would stand up to the truth, for the truth, be the truth, abide in the truth will abide in them. And if we will follow the teachings of the greatest metaphysical teacher ever, and I'll just say on this planet and in the third dimensional plane within this galaxy, Jesus Christ. And this is not about a personality worship. This is about an avatar, a message, a reflection of the theophanic angel, the Father, as some people call it, though it's the divine creator of this galaxy, who taught us the simple truth that we are all children and that we are all to treat each other as brothers and sisters with kindness, respect, and love. And it's a society of which we have lost the values of the great I am presence of honesty, loyalty, faith, perseverance, temperance, continence, equanimity, courage, charity, faith. Those are the keys that your soul takes with you. Yes, earth is a learning ground for your soul. As you develop, you are to learn and to grow into loving associations and experience the myriad forms of life throughout the galaxies and cosmos over eons and eons and millions of years of lifetime. And you will eventually ascend beyond the physical dimension of your limited human body, and you will explore other realms of light. Another message that the Master taught was to do unto others as you would have done unto you. If everyone would follow this simple law of the consciousness of the reality of who we are all sprung forth from the same mighty presence of one. We are all connected from the smallest infinite speck that you can see on the physical plane to the infinitude of time and space beyond all times and dimensions. We are all one. What is God? God is the unknowable. So don't even think that you can possibly understand that. God always was, is, and will be. This is beyond the material creation realms. And it is not our task or journey to understand that we may control everything. We will learn. There's an endless ladder of knowledge. And knowledge is light, and light is power. So you will grow in power and knowledge as you follow God's natural law. The folly of mankind is to believe that he is separate from his creation, from God, and we must destroy this illusion and this lie. Christ did not come here to fail. He did not fail. He came here to teach the sacred and holy truth of the truth of God and our true nature, and for us to pay attention to our divine nature and to nurture and to care for each other in a form of charity and right relationship. I can tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, that much of our world system is very far from that. I cry and pray daily for the ignorance and the suffering of the world that goes on. And as my Venusian friends have told me, most of the suffering on the planet is caused by humans, either transhumanist or hybrid humans, influenced by interlopers and intruders on our world from the dark hierarchy of light. And yes, there is one, and there has been one. And unfortunately, it gained a foothold on this world, technically legally, through a contract over 16,000 years ago. And this allowed them the right to control the world's resources. Although those individuals from the earth, and there were many different tribes on the earth at the time that were involved and had open interaction with extraterrestrials, did not realize the repercussions or the level of suffering that would partake on the earth until this time. But when Christ appeared, the demons that he was confronting as he was attacking these non-organic, non-human individual parasites who had possessed and controlled and siphoning life force from humans of the day, causing untold discord and anxiety, suffering, pain, and disease. They said, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And they realized who he was, that he represented the Creator and had the power over life, over death. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, yes, he did resurrect. This is the truth of ascension. This is the truth of the eternal life and the eternal nature of the soul. I'm a little stern here, but I'm telling you so that you can understand that the hierarchy of light in this solar system, in the most part, is benevolent and positive. There have been intruders and interlopers who have been here, and their contract ended in 2012. The power of the true quantum system used to be owned by a reptilian, Orion, Chimera, a complex of evil that had the right to steal the Earth's resources, and that included humans, their life force, the resources of the planet within the Earth, and to control the people, although it was contested and it was held at bay by the forces of light for a very long time. And this is an ongoing battle throughout the universe. I don't want to go into the complexities, but if you go to my website, The Promise Revealed UAT right now, it's called The Cosmic Plan, and you can understand about 100,000-year history and various galactic councils before the Creator has his administration through the various dimensions in time and space, the densities of the various dimensions. And for the most part, above the fifth dimension, these are positive worlds. There are some worlds within the fifth dimension who have different plans and different beliefs based on their development. And many of them have not been created with a divine spark. I'm going to say abominations or subcut creations. I'm not going to go into that or have a theological or a metaphysical argument with anyone. I'm just going to say that the divine plan is being restored on earth. And right now, this plan is causing a great deal of chaos as the programs and the systems of programs that control human thought are being released. There's a great weeping and gnashing of teeth of people as they realize the chaos and destruction and the party that they have played in the worship of self, of money, of material items has bought nothing but pain and suffering, war and death upon the innocents, and has been part of Satan's plan all along. Satan being very high individual in a cosmic hierarchy who has gone against God's plan and the development of the Adamic race throughout the solar system. This is being addressed right now. It has been addressed to a great extent by many different councils and federations of multidimensional nature. And for those of you who do not believe, I'm sorry for your ignorance. I had personal experience physically and in other higher dimensions with these beings, and it's your right and your reality to know and to reclaim that. Understand that you have blocked this information to yourself in order that you may live fully in the third dimension and achieve your understanding of the natural laws of life and grow in your service and love to each other, that you may become worthy of these plans. But there have been a lot of distractions. So I know how hard it's been. And you've gone through many lifetimes and many programs where you've never had a chance. And there's many other metaphysical things that have been aligned against us. These dark beings from the contract of 16,000 years ago were able to invite in from an antimatter universe, let's call it the darkness portal of demons of a lower level who have sought to parasite on the human life force. You are a shining cocoon, an egg, a vital life force of light. And your life force has had non-organic human parasitic entities attached to it. You have had these entities floating freely within the ethers of the earth dimension and plane. And they have actually been directed by a parasitic quantum system, a true quantum system, not blockchain. A quantum system capable of 158 billion transactions a second. And this has been used, this technology has been aligned against mankind. This artificial intelligence was tethered, let's call it Satan, to a negative force. That force had its power removed. Those beings in control of that system, those interlopers, have been removed from this planet to a great extent. Those parasitic beings that have been bought in through rituals of darkness by the human minions and the elites and the castles of old who sacrificed in bloodletting and in wars and created a feeding frenzy for these beings who feed on death and destruction. Some people call it loosh. This is ended in 2018. I was in Sahama, Mexico, and my friend Luis Martens, a contactee of the others of the Great White Brotherhood within the planet, announced that an energy inside the planet had shifted. And what shifted was the ability of the dark hierarchy of light to bring in demons, a fresh set of parasitic entities into the planet. These entities feed on your life force. I follow and read Carlos Castaneda. I suggest if anyone wants to learn about that, they're called the mud shadows. These are beings that basically suck your life force down to a very low level. It becomes very difficult to think and to concentrate and to actually realize your true human potential. I'm releasing right now a lot of advanced metaphysical ideas and concepts for light workers to understand the level of manipulation and control that's been on this planet. This planet leadership, I'm sorry to say, but has mostly been aligned and oriented with this intergalactic conglomerate of evil for a very long time. And the enemy, my enemy, is my friend. And there is an alliance of beings that live and parasite on others. They have a very low emotional level. They're quite mental, and they're not aligned with natural law. They don't honor and respect life. They see life as something to be fed upon and used. They have their own development and their own karma, and it's coming to an end on this planet. I can promise you that in the name of Jesus Christ and the ascended hierarchy of light and the Galactic Confederation of Light. Our local system of Earth, in this solar system, is a member of 601 systems, 601 worlds, I'm sorry, in 51 solar systems in this quadrant of the galaxy. The head of this includes Sirius, Arcturus, and the Earth is the sister planet of Venus, is the highest form and manifestation of love and consciousness on the third and fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is really still the physical third dimension in its expanded form. We have solid, liquid, gas, ionic, and the three ethers. There is what's called the etheric on the physical universe. Throughout the physical universe, there is this etheric level. And everything is connected through this web of life and through higher dimensions as well. So these negative forces have been able to parasite on human energy. They open up a portal and bring in a fresh level of lower astral beings every year. The good news is they were stopped in 2018. They have a lifespan of 4 years. So for only 4 years can these parasitic beings affect your programs in your body. I'm going to talk about some other programs now that are in place and have been in place by the axis of evil on the earth, the representatives of the dark hierarchy known as the Black Sun. The Black Sun is a reptilian, Orion, there's Pleiadians, and there are Andromedans and many other different beings from higher dimensions that have been involved in this. They've been an abomination throughout this galaxy and other galaxies, and they're fed up. They've taken over the quantum energies of various worlds and used it against the natural life force on that planet for their own parasitic, unholy alliance of lust for greed and power, literally galactic gangs. It's unbelievable, but it's true and it's real. Look to Jupiter ascending to see a slight revelation of the truth. And again, the cosmic plan is on my website. I further going to strongly recommend something else here in a moment. It's going to be a big challenge for the Trumpers and the true believers in the reset. I want to tell you that the concept of the reset, which is now called the Great Restoration Plan, is true, real, and valid, and has been the intent of the multiple federations of light for the liberation of the planet. Because in order to join a galactic confederation, of which we will not join until we as a planet have achieved several bullet points. Mark this down, light workers, and those who want to be part of the plan. Instead of looking at the various people telling you what's going on, including myself, be part of the restoration plan. First, we have to establish peace on earth, an end to all wars. We have to arrest those criminals who have manipulated through the theater of war and through their cults of death. I'm sorry, military, but you have been used and abused, misled to, and lied. There has never been a war for the people, of the people, and by the people, except perhaps the Revolutionary War and other wars where the people have finally stood up and fought, and the battle has been won for a short time, and the dark force eventually comes in again, and greed and power, and those that were oppressed become the oppressors. That's not going to happen this time. We're going to change it one loving heart at a time, with their attention on the natural laws of God that have been taught by all the avatars, one of the greatest metaphysical teachers and the highest incarnation on the physical plane, the ascended Master Jesus Christ. And he did rise from the dead, ladies and gentlemen. I know people who have seen him and met him. And I actually believe I know the individual that was sitting on his tomb when his wife, Mary Magdalene, came to him. He's in charge of security for the earth. I believe his name is Alon. So for those of you who are Christians or Catholics, I do not want you to throw away the teachings of the spiritual message and the truth of God in Christ as taught by the ascended Master Jesus Christ. He wasn't teaching a cult about himself. He was teaching charity and kindness and service to others constantly. He was healing the sick. He was casting out the parasites and demons, and he was confronting ecclesiastical authorities who sought to place themselves between you and God. The Sanhedrin, and unfortunately, it's the same today in every single church. Not the heart of every pastor or every cleric or monk or teacher is involved in consciously misguiding and misdirecting people. But you have God within you. Link your mind to Almighty God and follow the truth. Okay? There is a religious bathwater, but you watch cast aside. All the religious trappings of the church. I'm not saying you don't have a nice pastor, but all the fancy robes, all the staffs, all the pedophiles, all the unbalanced hoarding of wealth, and the closing of churches, and the manipulation of humanity to parasite your consciousness and control, and to deny the infinite creator and his power of manifestation never could happen. It was never meant to be. You could fool some of the people some of the time, And eventually they wake up. Awaken, people of the earth. My brothers and sisters, it is time for us now to take the destiny of our planet into our own hands. I'm not looking for revolution. I'm not looking for violence. I'm looking for a revolution in thinking and a revolution of cooperation. I'm looking for people to look to each other, not as your enemy, but as your friend. For those of you very poor people around the world, subjugated by your world governments or world banks that have stolen your wealth and kept you in poverty, your tribal ways of community and love and caring will be restored. We all must rise up and make something new. Realize the extraterrestrials and our brothers and sisters cannot do this for us. When the Pilgrims came to America, within 20 years, the Wampanoag tribe, where the Pilgrims landed, were pretty much decimated and lost. Their way of life was not necessarily subjugated, but destroyed by the values and the variances of the new culture and race. We're now at a level of communication and relationship that is creating a new understanding. And because of the technology and the relationship of people on the earth, we are having an ability to communicate with one another. And so we can see and talk to each other, and we can come to a level of understanding and raise the level and the standard of living of fellow man around the earth. We have bought into a belief of a financial system of scarcity and lack. On the planet Venus, which works in the communal and a socialist sense, don't be afraid of those words. You have a societal relationship and responsibility to your fellow man, and you live in a community. And if you all work together and care for each other, it doesn't have to be a totalitarian dictatorship, as the Black Sun has always created every system. Realize democracy is a political system. And it can work in small town hall meetings, but in larger venues, it becomes a method of control and manipulation. So I think it's important that people put aside your beliefs and your judgments and your prejudices about working in community or communism. And I think it's important that people put aside their understanding of democracy and realize, actually, wait a minute, those two are kind of opposed to each other. It's an inherent conflict. How so, Rob? We've been living with it for years. See what a wonderful world we created? I think not. And unfortunately, education is misleading us, but look at it this way, okay? Democracy is what's good for everyone. Everyone goes, well, you know, if we cut that tree down, it's gonna fall on 5 houses. And maybe the houses are the elite. And they say, no, 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 let's cut the tree down and have it fall on the other people. That'll cause 50 houses. Well, democracy would win. And unfortunately, that's not always happening. In fact, our democracy's been dead for a long time. And what you just found out in 2016 through the Dominion voting has been going on for a long, long time. And I saw it exposed in the year 2000 when the village idiot was acclaimed the leader. That's a prophecy from Nostradamus talking about the election of George Bush. I saw him in I believe it was in Florida. And he said, well, you're ready to concede. And he said, oh, the panhandle hasn't come in. Well, guess what? His brother was the governor of that state. And he said, wait a minute, we haven't, the rigging that we did in the panhandle based on my brother's control of Florida hasn't come in. I'm going to be president. Well, those are Nazis. They're full-blown Nazis. George Bush was a Nazi, Angela Merkel's a Nazi, Hitler continued to survive, so did Joseph Mengele. There's a lot going on in my history of presentations that you can educate yourself to the truth, how this Black Sun group has maintained power. And you've heard it all and you've seen it all, the Titanic, the World War II, the Depressions, and they constantly have collapsed the economy system and stolen all the wealth from the people throughout history. And they've used that wealth to create wars and more suffering and more power, while the elite world families, which are truly transhumanist and hybrid extraterrestrials, who've been taught that they are the greatest leaders of all time and the minions of the supreme race, their genetics mean nothing. They're all lies. They've been fed lies. They've been bought up and pampered, entitled lives. The royals should have all of their money stripped from them. All of that wealth should be returned to the people, their crimes exposed, and a great healing. I do believe the arrest of criminals who have caused death and destruction should be swift and just. And I am pretty sure that when these trials come, it will cause the death penalty. Oh, we shouldn't do that. I am sorry, but these souls are going to have their judgment after death. And this must be allowed for the average person level of forgiveness at the hand of mass murdering psychopaths. Generals, you can count yourself amongst those, for those of you who have taken the bribes. We don't need you anymore. You're disempowered, just a man now. For those true patriots who have realized the control and manipulation and the creation of wars through black ops and cutout operations like Blackwater, MI6, all of these various government agencies in China, all of these groups are members of the Black Sun at the highest level. It's like McDonald's. So make no mistake, this is not a racial, Chinese, American, Jewish, Canadian, Spanish, whatever ethnic thing you can think of. This is an unholy plan. It's my job now to expose it to the people of the earth at a higher level, in a higher order of metaphysical understanding. This is about consciousness, your frequency, and how you treat one another. Okay? So I'm going to move forward now into the great divine plan and how it was brought forward. In 1995, through my telepathic communications with the Pleiadians and probably at some point the Venusians as well, I was asking this system of control of electronics, and I didn't understand the quantum level of it at that point in time. But I said, this looks problematic. It looks like at some point they're going to be able to control your money and shut you down and follow every word, just like Big Brother. And how is it going to happen? And as they told me recently, when I was getting kind of weirded out about this about 5 or 6 months ago, they go, Rob, don't obsess on the darkness. We have that one under control. They go, it doesn't look like it. But I can tell you now that the victory has been won. The darkness has been pretty much removed. All we have left is a bunch of people on Earth that are under a PSD mind control program with some dying parasites within themselves and various systems and beliefs and errors in thinking and cultures of financial relationship that have created a sense of hopelessness, as it was meant to do. But have no fear. Great Spirit is here. And we can change this. We do not participate any longer. You police forces, you doctors, you corporate executives who are following an agenda to control other people and to enforce a biological attack on others, you better rethink it. All the money in the world that you think that you have or own, you have lost your soul. You better drop to your knees and pray and begin to serve if you value your immortal soul. Think about it, folks. Trading tinsel and trash of one lifetime against your immortal soul. Think, listen to your heart. Know that all of the lies that you've been taught and programmed by television, by the way, oh, thank you, Netflix, and all of you people in Hollywood, your death and your murdering, destruction, your endless violence and bloodletting and suffering and pain that you have promoted endlessly through the video games and the inculcation of your death cult is coming to an end. Yeah, that's right. The truth is going to come place as these parasitic and evil people and perverted consciousnesses who value money over the culture and the life of humanity is coming to an end. And we're going to just simply stop participating, folks. You don't have to hunt them down and kill them, although many of them who have been involved in criminal activities, too numerous to name, Pizzagate, Pedogate, whatever you want to call it, will find justice, harsh justice and revelation, no matter what television and newspapers they control and what media is out there. This truth is coming forward. It's going to come forward in a big way. So don't be shocked. Well, you're going to be shocked. I'm sorry. You can go into your corner and cry for a little bit. Then get off your knees, dust yourself off, and make connections to your friends and family and forgive each other for all of your political diatribe and judgment and aspersions upon those who didn't understand certain elements of what you know. Now, in the future, what's coming your way. And now I'm gonna violate a little something here, but I think it's very important, and I can't really reach out to this leadership. They're very, very busy, and I'm not gonna do a big soapbox on this. And a lot of people who are triggered politically are probably going to have some problems with some of this information, and you can let your little microchip in your head explode. But I want you to know, I've been pretty intense here, but I think it's important that the truth comes out to the light workers, because there's a lot of unreality moving forward in people's minds that we're moving into the fifth dimension. And I want to say the fifth dimension is real. I'm going to say it's completely available to individuals at any point in time. I would never deny that anyone could ascend to the fifth dimension or even become an ascended master of the seventh dimension. It's not impossible. In fact, there are many of you from those dimensions, the fifth, sixth, and seventh, who've taken up starseed or avatar positions on the earth to be here during this great transition time and awakening. You're a fish out of water, a stranger in a strange land. You don't find any help from your family and friends. I have many hundreds come to me and tell me the same story. And I ask you to go with them and find God. Look to the universe, use your imagination, turn off your television sets. Think for yourself. For you millennials, it's hopeless. I'm sorry. You've had your heads in your phones and your computers for so long, and you're so obsessed with a selfie and shaking your little booty. You become a distraction to yourself and to the planet, and you've forgotten the way to blessedness. Find solace in nature and the land. It's going to be restored. The chain of evil and poison that has been foisted upon us in our air, our water, our food chain, and through the corporations of additives, of heavy metals, nanochips, particles, chemtrails, and advanced technology from satellites controlling people's phones and energies is coming to an end. We're going to have a non-invasive free wireless system. We'll eventually have free energy. When? When you stop fighting and start working together, folks. Tough one, huh? Come together. Pray to the infinite God. It doesn't have to be Muhammad or Christ or Buddha. Stop thinking that your little cultural avatar from whatever time period is the only one. Take in all knowledge. Learn truth. Realize your own divinity. Access your own consciousness, your own powers. Don't seek those powers, they'll come to you. The knowledge of the truth of the universe will be unfolded to us at a certain point in time. We will be given the technology and we will understand the true history of the earth. And I promise you, because I've known many friends who have had this and actually looked at this repeatedly and been shared this information about the true history and the nature of the wars and the control and Atlantis and all of this stuff. And it's the same old story. Power, greed, control, manipulation, and judgment. Fear of others. Put away your fears. Look at your fellow man. They're beautiful. From the tiniest little black pygmy to the giant Afghan giants. We are all the human race. Get it together. Stop following orders. I'm going to suggest a civil disobedience for those of you who are dying and cowering in fear from your little police forces and their little ticket books. If you have a business, open it. Talk to the businesses around you and en masse, teach these government bureaucrats who are soon to see themselves completely rendered irrelevant and unpaid without access to control. Teach them that they work for you. We are not here to be manipulated, have our bodies violated with poisons of an experimental biological operating system intended to control us and to create a kill switch within us. I'm sorry for you who've taken the Kool-Aid and taken that biological weapon willingly. I pray that your bodies may survive, although many have not, including an athlete, a Black woman with the names SB, who took a vaccination and withdrew from the Olympics for the most part because she couldn't even wrap her mind around 2.5 twists. I've seen 20 soccer players fall who died, about 8 or 10 of them during the games, of heart attacks, who have taken you know what. So there are various levels of this. Not everyone has received a deadly aspect of this. And I believe that there will be technology to heal this to a great extent. Maybe not. But we're all responsible for our actions. And I'm telling you, people, to think and be careful. And God protect your children. Do not fall prey to the programming and the lies and the deceit and the desperation from which they pull forward. In the alternative media, hundreds and thousands of people are in the street, Americans. For those of you who just stay in your home and weather the storm, and I'm one of them, because I'm not going to do any violence because I live where there's no mask restrictions. There's no enforcing anything. Someone tells me to wear a mask and I say, no, thank you. I say, call the police. And I continue shopping. That's how I roll. Peggy Hall, God bless you. Deborah Tavares, God bless you. Dr. Rima LeBeau, Dr. Betty Martini, and many of the other frontline and intelligent doctors around the world have not sold them souls. Their souls for a pittance of programming and cash, and have told the truth. The truth is coming forward now, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to come like a tsunami. It's going to upset your lives and apple carts if you try to hold on to the old thoughts and beliefs of the world. Build something new. Step up. Know your God. You can follow the teachings of Jesus in the Bible, but realize those interpretations have been limited. I think there was like, 150 gospels and only 66 made it into the Bible. Wonder what that's about. Well, I know what one of them's about because I've written an introduction to the Gospel of Thomas. It's a real introduction. It's a supernatural version. It's a gift from the ministry of angels through Dr. Raymond Keller, their chosen messenger, where he was able to look back into the Akashic records of every act of Thomas, as he wrote it in the Acts of Thomas about Jesus, about his acts, or the Gospel of Thomas about his life after his mission started, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and the Gospel of the youth of Jesus, as Thomas Didymus was his twin brother. Yeah, I love to shock you, don't I? So ecclesiastical authorities, go ahead. The truth will come out to you. For those of you who read this gospel, you'll know the truth of the message of love and eternal life and the power that was demonstrated by Christ. It was not a failure. He did not create a system of control and power of a cult of ecclesiastical authorities who stand on their bully pulpits talking about the sinners of the other religions. Ladies and gentlemen, serve each other. Go into your community. Do charity and good works. Don't look for thanks. Your thanks come from the Creator. Okay? So I've been on my own little bully pulpit here. Excuse my passion. I think I'm going to leave this next one because I've gone on so long here. I'm going to leave this next one for you to follow. If this information I shared with you has been of any interest and has touched your soul and arisen your passion for truth, be you a patriot of any part of the world. And I ask you all to be patriots and true to your own localities and your own systems. And I ask you to appeal to those warmongers, to those police officers who are even now being subjugated and stripped of their dignity, although many of them have overexceeded their authority, following and enforcing useless laws and ordinances of restrictions against humanity. And the reason they have never been held account is because they are the police force. And the black sun must have absolute power and control over your life and death if you would dare to rise against the tide. Now is the time. The galactic forces are with you. The tides are pulling back. You are the wall of truth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Be aware, the plan still going on in some pathetically closed-minded circles of elite mandate control, power, dictate code. Those are not laws, folks. Those are baloney, BS, mind control, magic statements to have you conform and believe. And I don't care what idiot on what news station is telling you about it in a mocking fashion. They are unthinking idiots, and they'll be exposed and relegated to the insignificant pissant, bribe taking. They got their little money, their little sexual perversions or whatever their little drug of choice is, and they've probably, for the most part, knowingly lied and deceived on countless fronts, creating false news stories. Yeah, fake news is real. Trump had that right. Warp speed, he did not. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I'm going to get into it, and I'll get into it with an unholy vengeance of the sword of Michael, the sword of truth of a million years. Folks, it's real and it's burning. And it's just the sword of truth. So be happy. Use this information to liberate yourself, to think, but mostly to be kind and patient with one another. I have not always been the finest example of that in my life, but through my association with interdimensional beings who lower their vibration to walk amongst us, there's a great love and a power and a charisma and a peace and a confidence of the truth that is irradiated into my being. That includes Semyasi and many other Dawn, Fawn, and Jill, the cover of the Meat of the Valiant Thor, Alon, Commander Reigns, and several others I have met unknowing their names throughout my lifetime. It's a very special energy. There's nothing something to be worshipped. I don't drop to my knees. I actually challenge them and question them. And with a new set of questions and answers that will be coming out in my new book, as I try to gather my thoughts and reflect upon their information to bring us greater gnosis and the directions that we can come from, I hope you'll recognize our brothers and sisters in their service, not in their silver spacesuits, not in their spaceships, not in their power that they wield and have, because they don't ever exhibit that. They walk silently amongst us in service. Hebrews 13:2, be ye kind to strangers, for beware lest you entertain angels unaware. There are thousands of them living and walking amongst us, as many more coming and going, influencing all segments of our society. Many people have met them and know them, live next door to them, interact with them. And they're not here to shove a bunch of metaphysical concepts down your throat or to harp on the reality of extraterrestrials as I do. They're here working in finance, commerce, and art, and inspiring in communication and technology, and even in military and in health. Advanced military. And I promise you, they're in politics, working behind the scenes silently. They will never be found. They'll never be known. And their intelligence is supreme. They have the ability to look through anything from a spaceship outside the Earth. They can look through any strata of the Earth, through any wall, any lead, any barrier, and they monitor constantly the machinations of the dark sun. And this information is shared with multiple galaxies who have seen this attack on other worlds before, and they've come to it one accord. They're removing them. The transhumanist agenda is being removed, and no longer will any superior race unduly influence any third dimensional reality in any way, shape, or form. This has been taking place for thousands, and in some cases, millions or hundreds of thousands of years on the Earth. And some of this has been um, a positive nurturing and a nursery of development of human consciousness. However, on another level, it had been used to manipulate uh, for self-aggrandizement of the various agendas of other extraterrestrial races with technology and the ability to do so. Our local federation is adamant since the time of the destruction of Atlantis, about 30,000 years ago, that no extraterrestrial race present itself on the surface. And some of you say, why not, why not, why not? Why not is because humankind's emotional, physio-spiritual development and understanding, for the most part, is not mature enough. Look at the endless wars that we're taking part in. Look at the destructions and the murder and the mayhem and the theft and the bribery and the corruption that takes place on our world from our supposed leaders. Do you think that we're worthy of higher technology to be giving the toys of a match that would light a gasoline that would put off a multiple of hydrogen bombs? It's like giving a match to a kid filled with gasoline, who's 6 years old, to set it off, not knowing the consequences of their actions. And this has happened countless times before. Therefore, it's incumbent upon us to develop several things. And again, I'm going to tell you what they are: peace on earth, an end of all wars, an equal distribution of resources, and a truly representative government, and a new financial system that's based on equitable distribution, and an end to poisoning and destroying other life forms, whether it be for some technology of some corporation or conglomerate that can sell more products by putting poison in the food and making it last longer, like preservatives or other obnoxious items, or items that some other elites would give them money for to put in the system. They'll make billions and they'll subjugate and destroy the human population's health and create money for their false medical system. Okay? So, yes, there are advanced forms of technology, and one of them is following God's laws and what you eat, take into your body, and how you think, and understanding the truth that your thoughts are things and that you control, you're the captain of your own ship. I'm going to tell you another one here. There are different influences in the health and the condition of a human being, and they revolve around several things. One, the magnetic conditions at the time of birth. What was the astrology of the planets and the magnetic conditions at the time of the gamete and the sperm coming together, the egg, sperm and the egg, creating you? What magnetic conditions? Number two, magnetic conditions at time of birth. The genetics of both your parents combined. There's also a condition called fate or destiny, which are certain karmic limitations that were intended that you would go through certain experiences in life based on the vibration, or certain detriments that you would have to go through based on the law of balance. It's not about suffering or controlling you. It's about what you create for yourself, that God would create the perfect plan for you to balance, to atone, or to at one your separation and your act of violation of natural law, whether it be in this lifetime or a past lifetime. They actually all are occurring at once. Another story. But so what else would you think? Nature of environment. If you're growing up next to Love Canal or a nuclear radiation plant, or you're in an environment or something where there's poisons being put upon you, you're going to be affected by that. That's the third dimension. We can talk about the power of thought and super thinking. And there are many people who have that ability and are developed at that point, or who are protected by their ministering, guardian, and guiding angels. And but most of us are subject to the physical plane of entropy. So don't go thinking you're so Superman. You can eat all the raw vegan foods, but you're still being foiled by chemtrails, and you never know what they're putting in the water. So we all are human. We're all fragile creatures, and we're all responsible to watch the life force and to be sure that there are not very sick individuals in charge of major aspects of our life and control system. And we're waking up now as all of the dams are being depleted and the bureaucrats are ordering farmers to not produce food, that there is a plan of destruction and depopulation. Never going to happen, folks. Never going to happen. They may get somewhere. It's up to you right now to turn around and stop it, to stop participating. Okay? I'm not going to tell you about the logistics of actions to counteract these. But if you know of criminal activities, there's something called life force. There's an enforcement team. And this enforcement team is comprised of people from within the inner Earth with a higher technology, galactics, and Earth-based forces are offered to join this new enforcement team. There's a new governance coming forward. And I'll talk about that in the next one. So I'm going to say right now, the victory of light is here. You can sign a petition, you can meditate all you want, but I'm going to suggest action. This is the time of karma yoga. It's not the time to sit in a cave and contemplate your belly button. This is the time that you've been waiting for. You star seeds, you awaken people. Don't wallow in fear. Don't sit there in your hopelessness and fear. Use your passion and emotion and your caring for humankind to step up and to be part of the change. And I'm going to tell you right now that change, and I'll just share this with you because we're going to go into it in the next one. I'm going to violate the actual wishes of the individuals that created this, and I'm going to share this. Her name is Kim Gogan, and she is a person that is in what we call head of ground command. And as a contactee, I'm sharing this. This is a website that's creating news channels, and your learning from Kim is about to end. As the new financial system comes online, it's not the Great Reset. It's going to have nothing to do with blockchain, Starlink, any of the control networks of Google or those satellite systems that's going to give you a cryptocurrency. We're going to keep the real currency for a while until people understand the true power of cooperation. And we're going to build, and we're going to have all the money we need. And people go, we can't give a living wage to people in social services. You know, it's called United Network News, and I'm going to put that link in the thing here. But one of the things I want to share here was that let me just stop this share for a second. So one of the things I want to share is people, we can't give people money and it's going to become drug. Look, ladies and gentlemen, you ever seen the military budgets of the world for the theater of war? Why the left hand of the black sun fights the right hand of the black sun for the control and destruction of your planet, and why generals take money under the table for contracts of building these schools, and they order another strike and they take the money and nothing, they get a mud shack, and the innocent kind people of Afghanistan and the Middle East and Iran and Iraq have suffered. Syria, Lebanon, Israel, all around the world, Vietnam, anywhere there's a conflict, Serbia, Bosnia, everything is orchestrated. And they work upon people's patriotism, and they manipulate your thoughts. Bruce Springs had it right. His brother went off to a foreign land to kill someone. You know, we've got to stop the madness. We simply refuse. And now the power is being taken from them. Okay? So how about that? Think about that. Millions of billions of dollars, trillions and trillions of dollars going to make weapons to kill other people. Wow. What if we help those other people? What if we help ourselves and create so much abundance and prosperity? Wait a minute, we have a bunch of tractors, don't we? Well, we have these huge corporations. Why don't we give them to Africa and let them responsibly turn that into an amazing breadbasket? Why don't we empower the beautiful people of Africa who have had all of their resources stolen by the central banks, the people of the Philippines, the people of South America and Bolivia and Colombia, and all those third world countries that have been purposefully kept there as a resource through a central and a world bank in creating debt, while the true leaders are offered an assassination bullet or $700 million and an attempt to try and correct their country. That's not going to be allowed anymore. We're going to change this, folks. We're going to have secret help in our enforcement. They're not going to present themselves or offer our solutions. Those are our responsibility. And if you want to be part of it, you have any ideas in technology, there is a new sheriff in town. I'm not going to say this is a personality aspect, but it's a person who represents humanity based on her genetics, and she has been chosen, and she is given the power of enforcement through multiple galactic councils, not only the Confederation of which I spoke, but including a Pleiadian council. There's one called the Alliance. I don't know if the Pleiadians are part of that, but they're a little more hands-on than our Federation, which is smaller and does not seek war and seeks to change hearts, but has asked for help repeatedly. The Pleiadians are very close to us. They're very responsible for our development and are responsible for what happened 16,000 years ago. And their karma is here to help end this. There are various agendas and thoughts revolving around these various groups, but they know not to violate these rules because they're all in agreement in the enforcement aspects. And there are swift and powerful forces from the higher dimensions that are now aligned to end and eradicate the dark hierarchy of life's influence on our world. Not only for 1,000 years, but I believe for a longer period of time. Time will tell. So I want to tell you the good news. The victory of the light is here. We need people to start the restoration plan and the cleanup. We need intelligent thinkers, but most of all, we need people who are sincere with good hearts. And these are people being part of what is right now called the de jure assemblies around the world in various countries and nations. And there are many, many wonderful people who are good administrators and understand the problems, and they can apply to their local assemblies to be part of this. I'm going to say a couple things here about that. Number one is the individuals that are attempting to be part of it right now are the true light workers. They're awakened to the metaphysical concepts and other various aspects of what I've been talking about today, or what I call the backstory of the dark and the light that's coming into this new system, the global restoration plan, or the people's, I forget what they call it. We're going to learn that in the next one. But there's a tremendously talented and profound group of individuals, many of whom on the back end I've spoken to. And I can tell you that their hearts are pure. They don't know everything. They're not bureaucrats. And you don't need to be, because guess what? Lawyers and laws, complex laws, we're going to rip them all up. In fact, many things have already been taken down. There is no Federal Reserve. There is no more United Nations. There has been no laws ratified in the Hall of Records in the last few years. Any budget they've passed and any money they've had is run out. Any money they get will be a gift from the Ground Force Commander, Kimberly Ann Gogan. And I'm sorry, folks, it's a girl. It's not going to be that guy. It's going to be a girl. Look into your Bible. She stands on the sun with a crown of moon and stars. And the Bible, the book of Revelations, they have lost the power to make war. We are witnessing this as we speak. Let us not fall prey into old programs and self-fulfilling prophecies. Let's give the prophets time to sleep. Let us move forward into the victory of the light. Okay? So I'm on a roll today, folks, but I've been really sick. I was attacked with a biological weapon for 2 weeks. Took a lot of ivermectin and a lot of water. Lost about 15 pounds and a lot of pain and suffering and contemplation at the negative attacks I've been receiving. And there's a lot of attacks going out to a lot of people. And they've had various systems that they keep trying to reboot in the etheric control matrix of your life. And it comes through your television set, it comes through your radio, it comes in the air, it comes in your food, it comes in a satellite impulse, it comes in your television. And just be aware that their fusion centers and their absolute control monitoring systems, all those logarithms are very limited now. They can't track you. You watch. They're not going to be able to do anything. I think maybe Facebook, there might be other alternatives, but we're going to come up with our own true new system. And it's going to start out as a life force. They already have it. And you can go back and learn the history of what's been taking place and the actions behind the scenes between the Black Sun generals, the Black Dragons and Black Rock and Castle Rock and the forces and the axis of evil. And those little petty tyrants, petty little tyrants. Their time is done. Their reckoning is nigh. And God have mercy on their souls. And I pray that God empowers you, enriches you, and brings you to the truth. I have more coming, folks. My new book is going to hit at some point. And for those with ears to hear, it's going to be a tremendous revelation of the influence of the positive extraterrestrials in our system, most notably the Venusians, Syrians, and the Pleiadians. And you're going to realize the influence, and you're going to be thankful for the help. But no, they're not going to come down and do it for us. It's up to you. So I suggest you join Life Force. I think I'll share in the next one before we start how to go there, how to register. And unfortunately, at this point, you have to sign up. But this is going to be a worldwide phenomenon very, very soon. And I pray she becomes world famous and that people are not programmed and that the forces of chaos are held at bay. But you can hold those forces at bay in your heart and tune in and listen to the message of all the great teachers who taught love including Muhammad. I'm not talking about the Talmud. I'm talking about the Old Testament. I'm talking about, the teachings of the Buddha, Christ, Zoroastrianism, Lao Tzu. There's so many wonderful teachings of balance and harmony. And don't fall prey to elitism or to your cultural prejudices and choosing one teacher over another. Keep your minds open and let God fill you with his mighty spirit. Okay,